Hey, what's up? This your boy Elijah. Welcome back to another Glenn's session. How I see it, another episode of Humble Dad. We have a special guest today. It's been a long time coming. I'm an incredible fan of this young man. I don't even know if he knows that we met probably 15 years ago during my Reading Army days. He's a father, a husband, and you know him as a hip hop legend, none other than Mr. R. Swift.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
what's up, man?
Chilling, brother. Just working. I mean,
That's what's up, man. Once again, I really appreciate you being a part of the platform, man.
all good, all good. See, my light just went out on me. It's all good.
Listen. You know the devil don't like nice things.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's not a problem. Yesterday, matter of fact, I was on an episode and it of somebody else's, and it took me 20 minutes to log in because of technical difficulties. And he was live too.
No
So
bueno, no bueno.
yeah. So here we go. So first question, as I always ask my guests,
Mhm.
what do you feel like the difference between a father and a dad is, or do you feel like there isn't a difference?
Um, not before birth.
Okay.
So I mean, I think technically, uh, a dad is somebody who creates a child with a woman. And,
Mm,
I think dad is all physical. Like you provided the sperm, and
okay.
like I think a father is someone who's invested in the upbringing and well-being of that child, and like who is there to help mold that child. So I think that's what a father is. Like I don't think you have to be a dad to be a father.
That's what's up. I think it's good to know that because everybody has a different perspective, and it kind of depends on how you were raised. That kind of determines your thought process because each man has had a different idea of what a father or a dad is, you know.
Absolutely.
And so I respect that. So I want to kind of talk back. I want to go back to like when you were a youngster, and let us know, did you have a father in your life or a father figure, and what kind of molded you to even want to be such a good dad?
Um. Yeah. So my dad was, he was a street dude. He was out there, and
Okay.
my dad got caught up in that drug world. You know what I mean? Like selling dope, then doing dope.
Mm,
He got caught up, and my mom and my father got a divorce. You know what I mean? Like,
mm,
so I was pretty much raised without him. Because at a young age, he had to do a prison bid, and so I think the desire to be a great father was almost like trying to right the wrongs in my life. You know what I mean?
mm.
Like take
Yes.
the lack of structure that I had, the lack of involvement that I had from my dad. Like I wanted to be the opposite of what my dad was for me, for my girls.
Yeah, that's what's up. That sounds like a similar story to myself because I didn't have my dad in my life, and so that's where I'm at, trying to make sure that I give them what it is that I felt like I would have wanted. Right.
I also think that that was the gift and the curse for me.
Yeah.
Because like I think like along the way I became infatuated with not being him, that I
Mm,
wasn't fully embracing who I specifically was as a father. Like
yeah.
I brought to the table as a father. I was so busy trying not to do what he did. You know
Mm,
what I mean? That I didn't like fully embrace like what I was called to be as a father, like as an individual. And so like I think that's one thing I'm doing now is just having fun with like just being me and not trying to right his wrongs. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
trying to fix what was broken in his fatherhood,
Yeah.
but actually creating my own journey as a father and embracing my journey in fatherhood.
That's what's up. So you said you have girls.
Yeah, so I have four kids. I have three daughters and a son. My son passed away a couple years ago, back in 2009. Um,
Okay.
but I have three daughters. So
Wow.
I have a daughter that's about to be 16, and
What?
that 11 and 9. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's what's up. So you're gonna have to talk to me about these parenting skills with all girls and then them being at these different stages in life, right? So, but before we go there, I want to touch on like what you said. When did you discover that you were doing too much of trying to right your wrongs? When did that transition happen?
um, Had to have been a couple years ago, probably a couple years ago. Just was like, yo, all right, like, is your journey of fatherhood like completely surrounded by like thoughts of trying to right your dad's wrongs? And like,
Mm,
no matter how good of a father you are, you can never be able to undo what your father has done.
mm, mm.
You will never be able to right his wrongs. No matter how right you are, how many times, you'll
Wow.
never be able to right someone else's wrongs. You can't even
Wow.
right your own wrongs. You can
Wow.
just do better, right? Like, but we don't have
Wow.
power to change what someone else has done. We only
Wow.
have the power to decide what we're going to do going forward. And
Wow.
that's the thing. Like, I think that, you know, my journey into adulthood, like coming up as a young man without my father in my life, that left a lot of scars, but it also left the desire for me to build myself up and to build my kids up. And so I'm like, without my father's wrongs, I probably wouldn't have stumbled across my own rights.
Wow.
And so
That's wow. Mm,
it's like, you know what? I'm affected by it, but I also, in a weird way, could appreciate the fact that he wasn't perfect because it showed
mm.
me how much my actions can impact my kids going down the line.
Wow.
And so,
Wow. That's dope. That's interesting that you say it like that because it makes me kind of think about myself is what was the fact that my dad wasn't there, it allowed me, even though it's not good for him not to be there, right?
mhm,
But seeing as though he wasn't there, it allowed me to see, okay, what is it that I can do to benefit my kids? But not to try to, like you said, overdo it. Because if I'm trying to so hard to overcorrect, right, then if you look at it from a car's perspective, that's not a good thing to overcorrect because then you're trying too hard and now you're not really being yourself, right?
exactly.
That
It's
makes a lot of sense.
our nature to like try to overcompensate. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It's
yeah,
nature. So.
yeah, that's what's up. So I want to talk about like when did you like what do you feel like you missed um the most with your dad not being there or your father not being there?
um, well, guidance. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, that little, the smack in the back of the head. Yo, chill out, knucklehead. Like, you know what I mean? I needed that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
if I
yeah.
got a couple of those slaps in the back of my head, I probably wouldn't be on somebody's corner at the age of 15 selling
Mm,
dope to my own people.
mm,
You know
mm.
what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
those, I needed my father to tell me that wasn't the way to go.
Okay, that's what's up. So when did your transition happen? So you go from 15, then you come into almost like adulthood. So what are you doing like 18, 19? Because you're saying you didn't have any father figures at this time?
All right, so my mom went to this church, right?
Hmm.
And everybody knew that my mom was a single mother. And these dudes was like, oh man, we're gonna take his sons under our wing. We gonna, you know what I mean, be like they father figures.
Okay.
It ain't never happened. But shout out, you know what? shout out to Jeff. I'll never forget this dude, Jeff. Right?
Okay.
Jeff was like, I, I guess he was a single brother, younger cat. You know what I mean? Had a nice like Honda Accord. You know what I mean?
Man, those were the joints right
Woo! The early '90s models, right?
there. Yeah.
So he had the ill Honda Accord, and Jeff used to like, you know what I mean, like come grab me every once in a while, take me somewhere, probably to appease his own like desire to be significant, and
Mm.
probably had nothing to do with me, but
Wow.
had everything,
Wow.
his own, things he was internalizing. But
Wow.
other than that, man, like literally, there was just a gang of dudes that promised to like help
Mm.
raise us that never came through. And so, um, what happened was, uh, I was gonna say his name, but I'm gonna digress from it. But
That's cool. Yeah.
one of the dudes on my block, he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna be your father figure,"
Mm.
and he put some work in my hands. He said, "Yo,
Wow.
go drop this off over there and come back. I got something for you."
Mm.
That's how it started.
Wow.
He like raised by older dudes around my way that taught me how to shoot guns and sell dope. Like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, those were the dudes that were invested in me
Wow.
as it benefited
Unfortunate.
him in the long run.
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
they were invested, and so yeah, I think that's one of the things that I regret as far as like my journey coming up was like,
Yeah.
man, that wisdom from a father figure that was
Yeah.
really in my life and really wanted to see me do well. Um, but yeah, that's where I was at that age. Just
So when did the transition happen for you to uh, um, say, you know what, something got to change for me because what's going on now is not what it is.
so I think I got to that point around, I want to say 18ish. Like that
Okay.
really was like, you know what? Like I really want to pursue a life of growth, and I really wanted to see myself in a different space. I'd already been through high school, graduated high school, and I think that was the shift when I was like, all right, you're done high school, now what? Like,
Mm.
what does your life look like?
Yeah.
What's it really gonna be like? And I was kind of like walking with God at the time, like new,
Okay.
new.
Really? Okay.
Um, so I was raised in the church, but raised in the streets too.
I'm with you.
I would always kind of do both. I would go to church with my mom and just sell dope every other day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how it was up until about 18. About
Wow.
about 18. That's when I was like, man, something's gotta give.
So when that change happened, were you was there someone that came alongside you to kind of guide you through that particular process?
Oh,
So you was just so how did you even come to the point of knowing Christ? It says, okay, was there something eternally going on for you to be like, okay, I got to do something different, and I think God is the way to help me get there.
so like I said, raised in the church, and so
Oh,
I've hearing it all my life, and just was like, nah, I'm trying to do me. And
mm,
um, it happened one night. I was on the corner and I was working, and I had this thought pass through my mind, like, I wonder what God thinks about me.
what? What?
And that little thought
Wow!
messed my head up for months. I mean, me just gone. Like,
Wow!
I had to really think, what does God really think about me? Like, I wonder what he thinks about when he sees me.
Wow!
And it
Wow!
took, it took months to answer that question. And when
Wow! That's
I
fascinating.
answered that question, I didn't like it.
You didn't like the answer to the question?
No, because I like it forced me to be real and honest
Okay.
about the life I was living and what God really thought about it.
Oh wow. Wow. I got you. I got you. So you make that's fascinating. Because everybody doesn't necessarily have that journey. Everybody has a different journey. And that's cool to hear that you're saying that for me, even though I didn't have that father figure in my life, my heavenly father was actually communicating to me.
It was my lack of a father that helped me with my spiritual journey.
What? You gotta break that down for me, bro.
So you know how, like I said, we always try to like overcompensate and we have this void that we desire to fill. So I
Okay.
didn't have a father and I always wanted one.
Mm.
And so you could imagine the heaviness I felt when God the Father, when I thought that he would have been disappointed with me.
Wow.
And so, mind you, my relationship, like I said, I was raised in the church, but I didn't have a real relationship with God. It wasn't like,
Okay.
but I knew enough to know you're the Father. You're God the Father. I know that.
Wow.
But when the reality hit that the Father, not your Father, but the Father
Yeah. Wow.
is disappointed.
Mm. Okay. I
That
see you.
that shook my whole world. That
I
shook my.
see.
It was like nah, like nah. We gotta get on the same page.
Wow. Okay. So
And
that brings me. Okay. So you get to this moment. So then, as we journey into having your first kid, like you had by that time, had you gotten stronger in your faith, or were you still kind of
yeah, I mean, when my daughter was born, yeah, I was stronger in my faith. I was, married. I'm still married, but
That's
I don't want to put it
good
back.
to know.
But yeah, so I my wife and I we got married at the age of 23. Like we got
Isn't
married.
that a good age to get married, though?
You know
Looking back
what?
on it,
This is a Christian show, right?
not necessarily.
All
It
right.
just so happens to be.
I was about to say, talk my talk, but anyway,
You can say whatever. Go
no,
ahead.
you better have that censor button ready.
I got
But
you.
no, it was like we was 23 years old. I ain't know a damn thing about like marriage, how to be a husband. I just knew that I love this girl and I ain't letting nobody else marry her. Like, I
Okay.
love her, she's mine. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, we got married at the ripe age of 23, and we ain't know a damn thing. And
Wow.
we ended up pregnant like a couple months later,
Oh man.
and I was like,
Right
oh,
out the gate.
we ain't gonna make this. Uh, but yeah, we had a beautiful baby girl, and
Tell
yeah,
me about that moment.
I
Like
love.
when you first had your. Do you remember uh the first time you met your daughter?
Yes.
Talk
So
me through that.
we were in the hospital. My wife had to get an emergency C-section, and I remember when they took my baby girl out, and uh, just listening to her cry for the first time, I was like, oh my God. It was like the best feeling in the world, but the scariest moment. Like,
Why was it scary?
it was scary because I looked at her and I was like, yo, she doesn't even know her life is so effed up.
Oh,
How
okay.
she's effed up because she got me as a dad. Like, I don't
God.
nothing. Like, what am I gonna do with her? And so I'm sitting nervous, and I'm like, man, I hope that my wife is a better mother than I am a father because I'm stuck. And But it was, you know how it is. Is that uncharted territory? You really
I
don't
do.
know what to do it. Nobody sat you down and gave you the full rule book on parenthood, and
Mhm.
so it was all those feelings, and I was
Yeah.
scared to hold her because like she was so small, and I was like, oh, I'm a crusher. I was just,
Yeah.
but it was the most humbling experience, and
Yeah.
I just fell in love with being a dad. Like
Yeah.
I love like having the baby carrier on me. Well, so
Yes, bro.
and now it's like crazy because like she's in high school, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
God, like
Yeah.
you know the feeling of like, man, this is really uncharted territory, and
Yeah.
I find myself having those same feelings now
Yeah.
because I've never raised a young woman.
Right.
She's not a
Right.
little girl anymore.
Right.
She's a young woman, and
Yeah.
boys are saying things, and you know she got body parts that are just way bigger. I'm like, yo, how do you even like when we walk somewhere and I see grown men eyeing my daughter? I be ready
Yeah.
to kill them. You know what I mean? But it's like, how do you even navigate through that? And so
That's what I'm asking you.
I'm like, Lord, you're gonna have to teach me. I'm gonna have to make it through. You know what I mean?
That's
That's the
funny.
fun thing about parenthood. Like, I love that. I love the fact that we're always learning. We're always trying to
Mm,
evolve, and it's you never arrive as a father.
no.
It's never like, oh man, I got the rule book. Whew. Like, I'm looking at my oldest daughter right now, and I'm looking at the two other daughters behind, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do with them, but
Because
like,
they different. Because
we
they
gonna
so
figure it
different.
out. You know,
Yeah. So when you held her, right, you said
I
all
did.
those emotions happen, right? And then you're like, that's funny when you said, I hope her mother's a better mother than I am a father.
Real thing.
Yeah, that one of the emotions that for me, like I said before on other shows, is that my feeling was, man, how could you leave this? That was what my thought was, since my dad was in my life, and I was like, man, there's no way I'm gonna ever let you go, right?
Right.
And now she's 11,
Mm.
right? And thinking, okay, well, she's in middle school now, and how do I parent a middle schooler? Even though I was a middle school teacher,
Mm-hmm.
but this is my kid. So that's what I'm coming to. I got to get some advice, homie. Like how did you when she turned 11 or 10, when she started reaching the age of puberty, like what was some of the conversations, or how did you handle that transition, you or your wife?
So the physical aspect is the initial struggle. Like,
that's,
oh,
that's
she's
what,
stressed. Like,
yeah,
real. Like, oh
yeah,
God. Like, going to the store and buying like pads and all.
yes,
Oh God.
yeah.
And so it was. I was one of those fathers. Like, I do not want you. Like, right before puberty hit, I was like, let's just freeze this and keep. Like, let's not worry about that other thing.
Right.
Um, but surprisingly, I think the physical aspect was the one I was the most nervous about, but it was the easiest to deal with.
Wow. Okay.
Hardest to deal with
Yeah.
was the mental emotional growth or
Mm.
transition of a girl into a young lady.
Yeah. Yeah. That
That
makes sense.
screwed with me. Uh,
Wow.
I realized uh, as my daughter began to mature, like how much I struggled with projecting my failures and disappointments onto my daughter.
Mm. Mm.
And like addressing my daughter and dealing with my daughter as if she was a younger me.
Wow.
not
Wow.
herself individually.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get to a point where I began to honor her and treat her as an individual and
Okay.
not as the young female version of Swift.
Yeah.
Because my daughter is nothing like I was at her age.
Right.
You see what I'm
She has
saying?
a father
Like
in her life. One for
I was
one.
savage when I was her age. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she's not. She's a completely different person.
Mm.
And so having to address her in that way and
Okay.
realize like, man, when I might have been like projecting my failures or disappointments onto her.
That's what's up. So how have you been able to transition to your other daughters, knowing that that's what you just basically came out of? So how does that help you with your other two daughters?
They get the benefit of me treating them like that at an earlier age.
Okay.
Um, so just seeing my daughters as individuals and having conversations with them based on their individuality and like really it's one thing to acknowledge that. Is it like to acknowledge who your children are, their strengths, their weaknesses, and there's another thing to nurture that.
Oh wow. Okay.
Actually, like encourage and
Okay.
promote that, and
Okay.
to show you that uh, individuality could be a strength and not just a weakness. Like individuality doesn't mean that you're going to be rebellious. Like you could be an individual and not be rebellious. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
think for yourself and and still know when to think corporately with somebody.
Mm,
That could be a
that wow.
and so like
No.
just telling them what it takes to be a leader and not just a follower, but a great leader knows how to lead and follow.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
like, just teaching those lessons to my youngins and I think that's the benefit of going through with my oldest daughter is that now like I can usher my younger daughters through these ages a little bit smoother.
That's what's up. That's dope. Because I have two boys and two girls, and my girls are my bookends. So it's 11, 9, 7, and 2.5,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so with my and so with my oldest, having those conversations with her is totally different than the conversation that I have with my son.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And so like and she's the first and she's the first girl, right? And so trying to figure out like when do I talk about what? Because she doesn't necessarily want to have certain conversations as it relates to boys or anything like that. Now she'll talk about like future, like she'll talk about career, she'll talk about what she wants to do, what books she wants to read, and she will literally go through the dialogue of like what's going on in this book. But if I ask her like, okay, so are you liking boys or like what's
No,
your thought
that's an
process?
uncomfortable conversation. Don't no girl want to have that convo. That's
I
when
understand that, bro.
you tag team. That's when you got to tag your lady and be like, "Boop, you're it." Like,
Absolutely. And so I get that too. And that's what I'm saying. That's the part that I'm like, I don't know when, because when I was a middle school teacher, there was sixth graders that had boyfriends. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, here's my daughter who is a sixth grader. So she's not going to come to me necessarily about it or to her mother necessarily about it. So it's like, when do I have this conversation? Do I be proactive as far as, just not necessarily saying, do she like boys? I just come up and talk to her and have take her on dates and kind of show her like, this is how you should be treated in certain situations. But the takeaway that I got from you though, was to allow them to be an individual and just encourage them in their individuality.
yeah, I mean, like the one thing I think about parenthood, like parenthood is not a one size fits all. Like you have to different kids need different style of parenting. Like I can't even parent all three of my daughters the same way.
No, it's
Because
crazy.
it's different. Like
Yeah.
one person is way more emotional. Like my daughter Jasmine, oh, forget it. Like Jasmine is a whole emotional roller coaster.
Oh
Like
wow.
so I have to be very craftful with
Mm,
how I speak. I have to be very intentional about the words that I use with Jasmine
mm, yeah.
because she'll take it and be totally left with it. And
Which one is she? What age is she?
Jasmine is 11.
Okay, so she's the middle, so to speak.
Yes, and
Mm.
she's the most like me.
Okay, explain that. What do you mean?
All right, she looks like me the most.
Okay.
She's goofy like me. She has definitely my personality. Um, but I was a boy, so
Yeah.
so the way I responded emotionally was different. So
Mm.
my emotional response is always anger and aggression.
Okay.
Her emotional response is sadness.
Mm.
And like
Mm.
she will cry in a heartbeat. And like you just gotta be careful, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
to deal with that delicately. And so yeah, with Jasmine, if she do something wrong, we have to approach it a certain way.
Really? Can you give me an example? Like what was it's a situation where because the reason why I'm asking is because I have my Joshua who's 10
Mhm.
or about to be 10. He has that emotional thing where you got to be very aware of how you say what it is that you're going to say.
Yeah, because you don't want them to feel attacked or
Yeah.
singled out. So it's almost like, say if one of her teachers say something about her not doing good work, it's just
Okay.
like, hey, Jasmine, talk to me about school. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
what are
Okay.
some of the things that you're doing good, and what are some of the things that you might be able to do better? Like, are you having
Mhm.
time with anything? And like, just trying to get her to volunteer the information, and then
Mhm.
based on that, like, you can decide how to maneuver.
Yeah, that's dope. Okay, so then what's the personality of your oldest and your youngest?
My oldest is very independent.
Hmm.
Like, she likes to get her own, do things on her own. Like she is just independent. But she has this thing where, at least to me, she's still very much a pleaser.
Okay.
Like she doesn't want to be a disappointment to her father.
Ah, okay.
You know what I mean? Uh,
Yes, I do.
Her and my wife bump heads all the time. Like they go at it all the time. It is the worst thing ever. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Because my wife is like, I'm the mother, and this is what I say.
I can see that.
Don't
That worked here too.
do that, that. That's her. And my daughter is wrestling with feeling like an individual young woman,
Mm,
but still being respectful and honorable to her mother.
yes.
Imagine
Mm,
having these thoughts that are woman thoughts,
yes.
but out of respect, you have to suppress all of that
Wow.
so that you're respectful and honoring to your mother.
Man.
So you feel like you in a bottle about to erupt. And
Yeah.
so that's how it is with them. Like
Wow.
Shayla is a young woman. She'll be 18 in 2 years.
Yeah.
So she's a young woman. And
Yeah.
she's feeling young woman feelings. And
Right.
when she's frustrated like a woman.
That makes sense. Ah.
So,
Wow. Okay.
but of course, the temptation is as her parents to always look at her like she's a 12-year-old little girl.
Okay.
She's not a little girl no more.
Yeah.
She's a woman almost. Like she's approaching womanhood.
Right.
So the one thing we don't want to do as parents is to kind of muzzle that. We don't want you to suppress who you are. So trying to find that balance of allowing her to express herself as a young woman, but still be respectful of her parents. And no means no.
Yeah.
No matter what you got to express to me, no means no. Like, I'm gonna let you plead your case.
Yeah, right.
No, the answer is no. But
yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? But
that
that's
makes sense.
them. They bump heads on that because Stacy ain't used to another woman in this house.
Okay.
Stacy's the woman in the house.
That makes sense.
And when another woman is coming up, it's like, wait a minute now.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Right.
They
Right.
hurt. But it's like, but it's the coming of age.
Okay.
And that coming of age, like, and young men go through it with their fathers. You know what I mean? Like the father, you're used to, hey boy. But now that boy is a young man.
Yeah.
He like, Dad, I don't like that.
Right.
I don't like that. And now you have to have that conversation with a young man. You're not having a conversation with a boy anymore.
Okay.
He got grown man feelings. He got
grown
man body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's different now.
Yeah.
And so just as children have to learn how to adjust to their age and what their world looks like according to that age, we have to adjust to them adjusting.
That's good.
You know,
you gotta adjust to them. That's really good.
Different. Parenthood looks different when your daughter is, 16, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
It look different.
That's dope. So how would you? So that's good. So because the reason why that's good is because I don't think that parents necessarily think from that perspective that giving the kid the respect that they deserve, right? In the sense of, okay, you got to, yes, I'm the boss in the house. However, this is also a person in the house that I still should respect. And how I use, what words I choose to use is very significant in how they view me as an individual, right? As well as if I'm a follower of Christ, they'll say, okay, this is how a Christian is acting. This is not okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's important to note, and I thank you for sharing that. So what would you say like your youngest is like?
So my youngest, see, all my daughters have this sensitive streak, right?
I can imagine.
My oldest has this like sensitivity streak when it's like, oh my God, I'm a disappointment.
Okay.
Like, he has this fear of being a disappointment.
Okay.
But in every other way, she's independent. She's what? Let me alone. Let me do this. I'm gonna figure it out. Okay. You can't tell.
Is she 9?
Who, my oldest?
No. I'm talking about your youngest. You said
my youngest is 9. Yeah.
Okay.
And so my middle child, she's completely sensitive through and through. Okay. My youngest, she's like, you know how you got the smallest person is usually the bossiest person.
I do. We had that in our house.
So my youngest is like, she got an attitude. She will snap in a heartbeat. Like, she don't play. Like, if she don't like something you doing, she calling you out. Like,
wow,
that's something. All she's like, yeah, that's stupid. Why you doing? I'm like, what?
That's my 7-year-old.
Yeah, Summer is brutal. Like,
that's funny.
But again, she had a sensitive streak too.
Okay.
And it's like, on 1 minute, she can be hardcore, but when she gets frustrated and like can't determine the situation or can't determine the outcome,
Yeah.
gone.
Mm.
She gets real sensitive with stuff when stuff is like outside of her control.
So how do you help her?
Well, you know that teaching her early, you can't always have your way.
Okay.
The world doesn't revolve around you.
Yeah.
You're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna have visions and stuff ain't gonna work out your way. And
Man.
you have to learn to adjust. You have to learn to pivot and continue.
So how have you been able to kind of do that, to pivot, you know what I'm saying, as it relates to being a dad and having to deal with adversity? So is it like y'all have this conversation together, or you feel like they're watching you go through the adversity that you do? Or how does that work in teaching that in your household? Does that make sense of a question?
No, it does.
Okay.
I think it's always a combination. It's always a combination of what you say and what you do. Because
Okay.
what you do better match what you say.
Right.
That's the first thing they're gonna recognize. Well, you
Yeah.
say this, but you sure don't do that. Right?
They will show it. Yeah.
They were raised around a rapper as a father. So of course
Yeah.
they see me pivot and adjust. Like my life is adjusting. Like
Yeah.
they seen it happen this year. 2020.
Yeah.
Had my whole career out for the year.
Oh yeah.
Like
For
I'm a rapper
sure.
for a living. Like hip
Yeah.
hop pays my bill.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Wow.
no hip hop in 2020.
Right.
Like, you know what I
Wow.
mean? No shows, no none of that. And they had to see daddy adjust.
Okay.
Say, okay, I ain't getting no money. Like, how am I gonna operate? Like, what's gonna boo 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 boo? Like,
Yeah.
I still need to do what I gotta do. I
Mm.
still got bills to take care of. Like, them joints ain't gonna pay themselves. Like, we
At
got,
all.
and so like they see me like up my hustle and they see me do different things and adjust. And that's real life. They had to adjust.
Mm.
Like they're, looking forward to going to school, and then next thing you know, a pandemic knocks you out of school for a whole year.
Crazy.
Well, you gotta adjust.
You gotta adjust.
I
Yeah.
can't see my friends every day. Improvise,
Mm.
adjust. Life is full of adjustments. And like that's the message to my youngest daughter. It's like you can't control where the sun shines and where it rains.
Wow.
The only thing you can do is have a pair of sunglasses and a good umbrella to be prepared for either or.
That's dope. And the umbrella gets you regardless with the
Yeah,
sunshine or the rain.
I know the rain. Good umbrella. Teach you right. And so that's the thing is, life is gonna happen, and whether you think it's fair or not, whether you think it's good timing or not, life is
Mm.
gonna happen, and you have to adjust.
That's what's up. Well, I appreciate that, man. This brings us to the section of where I'm gonna ask you to give me a number between 1 and 44,
Ooh,
and I'm gonna just ask you what that says. I'm gonna ask you the question, man. It's no math in it or no read. It's not
and,
any.
in honor of me, I will pick the 40
All right, in the 40 club. All right,
acres in the mill.
that's what's up. What do you think the world needs more of right now?
There are a whole lot of generic answers that popped up in my mind.
I'm sure.
I would stay away from generic answers.
I appreciate that.
I think the world needs more honesty.
Ooh.
Honest with each other, one another, but honest with ourselves too. I
Okay.
think we're lying to ourselves, we're lying to each other, and I think life would be better if we were just more honest.
That's good. Yeah.
Honest about what you want. I want to be loved, and I don't think anybody loves me. Let's be honest about that. Or I want to be in a relationship with somebody that I can trust. Um, I don't want to be a thought. I don't want to be a player. Like, I don't, or man, I'm hurting. I'm hurting emotionally. I have things that I haven't gotten over and I need to process that. Instead of selling images on social media about like, yo, this is the life I'm living and like this is what I got. I'm having so much fun. Oh my God. But deep inside you like, oh my, I hate my life.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Start being more honest with ourselves. Start being more honest with one another. That's what the world.
That's dope. I couldn't say it better myself. Give me another number.
20.
What were your favorite things to do as a kid?
Play football and rap.
That's what's up. What position did you play?
So I played defensive lineman, middle linebacker. Yeah, those are my positions.
Wow. Did you play throughout high school?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
the freshman year of high school, I played football. Then I got arrested, and that was history.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, this is one of the YouTube users that said something about a previous statement. Reintroduce them to their situation as teens. You don't provide for yourself, so until you do, these are the rules. Interesting thought.
Reintroduce them to their situation. Oh, provide for yourself. I mean, but I teach. My goal is to teach them how to provide for themselves.
Yeah.
Like, by the time you're 18, you need to know how to be self-sufficient, even if you're not.
That's what's up.
So, like, yo, you better believe, like, right now, my oldest daughter is a sharp business mind.
That's cool.
Some guidance, and I'm about to take her through some things to show her how to bank up, like, for real.
That's
And
what's up.
but yeah, I mean, I get it. My mom used to do that on me. Like, two things, like, you don't pay no bills in the house,
Yeah.
and then, I brought you in this world, I take you out. Did that. And I'm like, I get it, but at that point, I don't ever want my parenthood to feel like a power struggle.
Yeah.
And to hang over my daughter's head or my kid's head that they don't pay no bills and they not this and what am I really doing? Like, am I exposing the fact that they don't take care of themselves so that I can feel better about myself? No, I'm doing what a father is supposed to do. I'm taking care of my kids.
Right.
Like, if I didn't want to take care of kids, I shouldn't have had them.
Absolutely. Very good point.
It ain't like they asked to be here and I'm doing them a favor.
That's crazy. Right.
Like, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm doing what's required by God of me.
Right.
I'm handling my responsibility. And so my job is to make sure that when they come of age, they're able to be responsible and do what they need to do.
That's dope. That's because we're training the next generation.
I do think like building that individuality is very important, especially in young women. Like, because especially young Black women, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So that you don't feel like you have to depend on no man to complete your life. Like, you're able to do for yourself. And if anything, if you do get married, like, y'all are both bringing something to the table. It's like, nah, it ain't, let's build something together. Here's what here's what you bring. Let's go. Right?
That's what's up. Very good point.
Building something. It's teamwork. So
teamwork. That's what's up. Yeah.
Remind them of the situation, but don't use this. Like, I agree with what she said about reminding them of the situation, but not to the point where you're using your situation as leverage
Right.
to control your child.
Yeah. Yeah. Because and ultimately you're trying to teach them to be an adult. And if
Mm.
they're in the under tool, if they're thinking, okay, well, I'm always having to figure out what the boss wants from me, then how is it that they can function as a boss if they're always looking to say, okay, whose approval do I need to do this? You know, that's a fine line. So I get what you're saying. That's what's up. On that part about rapping, when did you start? What age was that?
11.
Really? So you just started writing?
Um,
Then?
that happened. Like, I was at my cousin's house,
Okay.
and this is back in New York, so you know there's a lot of ciphers going on.
Okay. Okay.
A whole bunch of dudes in the back of my cousin's house is doing the cipher, and I will always be intrigued by them, like overhearing them rap and all that. And
Yeah.
I want to do that. So I went back there, and I just started rapping. Like, I've never
Um,
freestyle like that or nothing. And of
yeah.
course, you like hip hop music, but
Yeah.
I just heard them going. I just jumped in and started flowing. And I
Yeah.
had flow even at a young age. And
Wow.
it's like, dang, like, okay.
That's what's up.
Impressive. So,
That's what's up. And then when did you transition to? Did you have an album before? I guess when was your first album? I guess this would be my question.
so I had like a little Mac single come out in like 97.
Oh, okay. That's what's
Uh,
up.
I dropped my first album, like real body of work, in 2001.
Oh, oh wow. You are deep. I forgot. Man, that's what's up.
2001. Then I dropped another album 2002, 2003, 2004. A lot of 2000 stuff, but
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah.
lot, man.
It was. That's when I think I started following you as around that time. That's
Yeah,
what's
you know, I've
that's
been a
what's up.
rapping scene for quite some time.
Yeah. I think was it I think it was you was on a soapbox. Was that
That was 2008, Soapbox.
okay? That was one of my favorite albums. And then of course everybody's that's the anthem Our God. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
that was a big hit for sure. Give
Ab-
me yeah, that was dope. Give me another number.
3.
Ooh, okay. All right. So, what are your memories about the house you lived in as a kid? And did you have a favorite house that you lived in?
I was about to say, I lived in a lot of houses. I lived in a lot of houses because we moved damn near every year.
Yeah, that's me too.
Kept getting evicted. uh, so you said, what do I remember most?
Yeah,
Rat,
what was your favorite? What are your memories about the house you lived in?
rats.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Man.
Grew up
Oh,
around a lot of mice and rats.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that happen too.
Um, I would say the one of my favorites was 7274 Lamport Road.
Wow, I remember the
Right?
address. Okay.
7274. Logic. You're from Philly, right?
Uh-huh.
And life is just hard in Philly. And so we moved to this house with my aunt and like uncle and cousins. So it was like 3 families living in one house.
Wow.
Um, and that was 7276 Landport Road.
Wow.
We all lived in this house together. It was in the suburbs, right? Right outside the city on the outskirts. So wake up, there's birds chirping. You like, woo-hoo! So mind you, it's 3 separate families living in this house. I don't even know how we all got up in there. But like me and my brother stayed in the basement. And it wasn't until like so my mom started getting to know the next door neighbor. Next door neighbor lived at 7274 Landport Road, right next door. And so got to get to know him, and him and his wife were about to move and wanted to rent out their house. And so he decided to rent 7274 Landport Road to my mom.
Wow. Okay.
And we moved next door.
Wow.
276 to 7274.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I felt like I hit the lottery.
Why is that?
Because everything we loved about 72, 76, we had the same thing, but our own house.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Bedroom. I'm like, yo, I'm in a bedroom. I'm chilling.
How old were you?
At this point, so I'm thinking I'm 17.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. That's the life, bro. Yeah.
I had chicks coming in that joint. I was like, man, buddy. I was like, oh, I had a bedroom, my whole room.
Oh man,
curtains. I was
that's the life.
And you know, we mess around, got a dog, got a Rottweiler, you know what I mean? Man. The picture perfect suburban life for months. I'm like, yo, cool. I'm a cool now. Like I made it.
Wow.
Like now, if you go around that neighborhood, it's like the hood now. But at the time, it was like once you move there, you in the suburbs. That's like you gotta catch a bus to go back and do some dirt in the city.
Yes.
And so I felt like that was the cream of the crop. That was it.
Man, I really appreciate you sharing that, man. You lit up when you talked about that, bro.
Yeah, because I remember the feel. Like, hold up, mind you, we grew up piss poor, bro. Like I'm trying to, like, bro, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, it was a couple things that happened. Like my mom just got this like new job.
Okay.
Working for the medical system.
Yeah.
And so she got a new job. She's making a little bit more money.
Yeah.
You know, we had the house.
Yeah.
Like, word, like,
yeah.
What?
That's what's up. Yeah.
It was the life you never thought you could have.
That's what's up. Well, I really appreciate you sharing, homie. And this comes close to the conclusion of the episode, man. And you know, kind of a couple final questions. I want you to tell me, who do you feel like, which TV dad do you resemble the most?
Golly, man. Damn it. Because there's one that I want to resemble the most.
Okay.
And one that I naturally resemble the most. Like, so
give me both then. Just give me both.
Who doesn't want to be Uncle Phil? Or like the moral one was Carl Winslow. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah,
I haven't had that one yet.
And I'm not too keen on cops, but I said Carl Winslow was the understanding daddy. He's just the best dad. But I'm more of a James Evans kind of guy.
Whoa.
James Evans. I'll whoop somebody in a heartbeat.
Okay, that's what's up.
I'm James Evans. I'm like, what? Like, you know,
let's go. Okay. So I haven't had that one.
I find myself more of the James Evans bent with Carl Winslow tendencies here and there. You know what I mean? You might get a little Carl Winslow spurt here and there. You know, where I have one of those sensitive moments.
Yeah.
I'm James Evans, baby.
That's what's up. I appreciate you for sharing that, man. That's good stuff. Hey, and so before we go, you got to let us know how do you want your kids to remember you? Nobody else, just your kids.
I want my kids to remember me as someone who loved deeply and someone who loved them more than he loved himself.
Mm, that's what's up.
But still loved himself, but
Yeah, that's dope.
somebody who would sacrifice everything for them.
Mm, that's what's up. I appreciate that, man. Well, that concludes this session of Glenz's How We See It, How I See It, and another edition of Humble Dad with my homie, Mr. R. Swift. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah,
And
appreciate it. Likewise, bro.
absolutely, man. And you have the last words. What you want the people to know?
Hey, so we're talking about fathers, and I would say if you have an experience with your father, if I speak from the experience of one who didn't have a great relationship with his father, didn't have uh, the presence of a father growing up. Um, if your father is still alive, even if he wasn't the great father that you would hope he would have been, um, like seek reconciliation with him if possible. Um, I got to the point where I forgave my father, but it wasn't until I had a son of my own
Mm,
I was able to be in a mental space to forgive my father.
wow.
Because my thought was I could never imagine my son despising me the way I despise my father.
Wow. Mm,
Um, yeah, so if you have a father you need to forgive, then do that. If you are a father, uh, like protect your children from all hurt, harm, and danger. That is including our past traumas that we project upon them. Sometimes we gotta save our kids from ourselves, so we gotta know the difference and allow ourselves to heal, so we can be better leaders for our kids.
woo. There's some balls right there, bro. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. And you have a good one, man. Until next time.
Absolutely.